Today, the university confers the Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters to Maria Woljan. Would Trustee Vukotic and Provost Njugu please join me to the right of the podium, and Maria Woljan, please join me to the left of the podium. Maria Woljan is the founder and executive director of the Young Center for Immigrant Children's Rights at the University of Chicago Law School. The Young Center's primary work is to advocate for the best interests, safety, and well-being of unaccompanied and separated immigrant children. Very important. Ms. Woljan's focus is on reforming the immigration system in which children are now treated as adults into a justice system that recognizes children as children with rights and protections needed all their own. Yes. Throughout her career, Ms. Woljan has focused on children's rights at the Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, the Child Law Center at Loyola University of Chicago School of Law, and for the last 13 years at the University of Chicago Law School. Ms. Woljan is the recipient of the 1996 Public Interest Law Initiative Distinguished Alumni Award and the 2013 American Constitution Society Ruth Goldman Award and the 2017 UNICEF Chicago Humanitarian Award, and one of Chicago Magazine's 2018 Chicagoans of the Year. Awesome. Therefore, Maria Woljan, in public recognition of merit and distinction, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Northeastern Illinois University, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctorate of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Congratulations. And now Dr. Woljan will deliver the commencement address to the graduates.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, of course, to Dr. Gibson, to Acting Provost Wamushi Jogu, to the Board of Trustees, and to the wondrous faculty here who got you to this place. Thank you so much for this honor. It really means so much to me. But I want to start out by congratulating all of you, the class of 2019, and to all of your families who I know are so proud of you today. I look around this arena and I see the faces of America. You don't see that in every place. This is an extraordinary university, and you're all so fortunate to have attended a school that prides itself on diversity of race, ethnicity, and age. Mr. Dwyer. So I'm going to talk about why your stories are so important, all of you who are graduating today. I never could have dreamed of standing here and being asked to give this commencement address. I was born on a farm in Missouri. I was one of 9 kids. My dad was from Chicago and knew absolutely nothing about farming. And even though he tried, we barely eked out a living. There was never enough, and you had to get to the dinner table on time or you'd miss out. To this day, I don't like sharing at the dinner table. I don't like sharing even with my husband. We had a nomadic life. We moved constantly. There was one year when I lived in 4 different locations. We lived in public housing in St. Louis, in Pruitt-Igoe, in Hunters Point, in San Francisco. And I had to take care of my younger siblings since I was one of the oldest. As soon as I could, I got away. I flew to Israel. I had a one-way ticket and $50 in my pocket. And then I went to South Africa. I was gone for 5 years before I came back to Chicago and to college. I went to UIC and I worked my way through college, working at a Denny's, working at the counter. I was 28, many years older than my fellow students when I graduated from college, from this very auditorium. I never liked sharing my story. People would ask me about my childhood, and I'd just gloss over it, or I'd change the subject. It wasn't that I was ashamed, I just thought that people would judge me. I thought they would think they knew me or put me in a certain category. But over the years, I've come to realize that everything that happened to me shaped who I am today in a good way. It's given me strength and perspective. All of you here today come to this single place with your own stories, your own narratives. Many of you, I'm sure, are here after many detours. Some of you are the first to go to college in your family. Some of you supported yourselves studying and writing papers while working a full-time job. Many of you are immigrants or the children of immigrants. And each of you here today brings to the world a sense of what it means to work hard, to persevere, to maintain your faith in yourself. As Dr. Gibson mentioned, I run a nonprofit that advocates on behalf of kids who come to this country on their own without a parent. They get picked up by immigration authorities at the border and get detained. And actually here in the city of Chicago, there are facilities for 500 children. These kids come from all over the world, and you've read a lot recently about the kids who are coming from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. These kids are fleeing violence we can't even imagine. But there also are kids from India, China, Ethiopia, Bangladesh, Romania, who come here on their own. And then, of course, you've read about the children separated from their families. Our job has been to advocate for their best interests. And I just also want to mention that we have had the good fortune of having Northeastern students work with us and intern with us and serve as advocates for the kids we serve. So thank you. But back to story. So our job as child advocate is all about learning the kids' stories, because really their stories hold the key to whether they might be eligible for protection and for making sure that wherever they go, they will be safe. So we learn the kids' stories, we learn what they want, and then we go out and advocate on their behalf with immigration judges, asylum officers, even ICE. And every single one of these kids, I've learned, has an incredible story, and it's really been my privilege to work with these kids over the many years. From the beginning, I've just been in awe of their journeys, and I'll just describe a couple of cases. We met a 15-year-old from Guatemala whose family sent her to the US because she was the responsible one. Their family had no money, and they were being threatened in home country. She was in custody for 7 months, and it was so difficult for her, not because she was in detention, but because she was desperate to be able to go to work and send money back to her family. There was a boy who traveled all the way from Somalia at the age of 16. His older brother had been murdered by the political opposition, and his parents knew they had to get him out. So they flew him to Brazil, and this kid at the age of 16 traveled through South America, then traveled through Central America. At some point, he met another boy, and they communicated with each other somehow that they were both going to the same place and traveled the rest of the journey through Mexico together. They got apprehended when they climbed out of the Rio Grande River. There was a girl from China who arrived with a debt of 70,000 American dollars owed to the smugglers, they're called snakeheads, in China. All of that for her journey. And then there was a girl from Ghana, her name is Hania, and at the age of 14, her father married her off to a much older man. I will tell you that these kids hold on to their stories. It is not always easy to get them to trust you so that they will tell you about their lives. They're afraid they'll be judged, they're afraid they'll be categorized, and I was there too, I understand that. I can't help but think of something the novelist Chimamanda Adichie calls the danger of the single story. This is the notion that because of one circumstance, whether you're born into poverty, whether you're undocumented, that we think we know your story. And as she said, the single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. We often, right now, talk in generalities of undocumented immigrants, of people from poor communities, of people with opposite political beliefs. We think we know them when in fact we don't know them at all. Each of their stories are unique to their own journeys, and we really need to be careful not to pigeonhole people. If we do, it leads to a simplified view of humanity and a simplified view of each other. The kids we work with, it would be easy to see them as having one story, crossing the border, getting caught, having to go to court. And if you'd met them all in detention all at once, you might think you knew their stories, but in fact, you'd know very little. Getting to know them, to spend time, you realize these kids had a destination, each and every one. They had a plan, and that plan has been disrupted. And they've had their own particular journeys. So we at the Young Center, it's a privilege. We have the privilege and honor of getting to know these kids both while they're in custody and afterwards. The girl from Guatemala, who I mentioned before, she's safe. She's settled in a community with people from her home country. She's working and able to send money to her family back home. The boy from Somalia, his story has a happy ending. He won his case and is living and working in Minneapolis. The girl from China, she ended up working in a restaurant for 3 years to pay her debt, sending every single dollar back home to pay the smugglers. But she's doing well right now. She's married and she has 2 children. The girl from Ghana, Hania, she got out. Her aunt saved the money to help her niece escape to the US. This girl has the widest smile and the liveliest spirit. It took her about 4 months to open up and tell us what had happened to her. And it was a very hard story to listen to. She talks, though, now about how she understands what her parents did and why they did it. and about how much she loves them. And she's doing so great. She's attending community college right now. So I'm going to close by just saying each person you meet has a story. And each of you, the class of 2019, no doubt has made a remarkable journey to get here today. It's what made this country so extraordinary, that there's no single story, there's no single narrative. And it's what makes you all so extraordinary. So I encourage you to embrace your stories, share them with the rest of us. We need to hear your stories. So congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to the faculty. Congratulations to all of the parents and family who are here this evening. Thank you. Thank you.